most powerful part about that video was when I took the rope off.
This is another ad that a lot of our viewers wanted us to take a look at because of, well, it's kind of obvious, I guess why. Welcome to Political Experts React, where we break down political ads in media, explain what the people behind them are trying to accomplish, and decide whether or not they did a good job. I'm Dan Pfeiffer, former communications director for Barack Obama, and joining me today is Charles Booker, who is currently running against Rand Paul for Senate in Kentucky, and the author of the new memoir, From the Hood to the Holler. All right, I'm super excited to have Charles Booker here on Political Experts React, man. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me.
I got to tell you, people have been demanding in the comment section that we look at your ad, and so we're going to do them one better than that. We're going to have you on to help us understand your ad. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Before we get to that, political environment as we sit here today in the summer of 2022, not looking awesome for Democrats anywhere. Can you give our viewers the quick pitch as to why you think you can win in a state like Kentucky in a year like 2022?
Well, first of all, I want to be clear. We're not only going to beat Rand Paul, we're going to blow him out. And I say that understanding everything you just mentioned and not even disagreeing with you, but identifying the truth. This moment is bigger than politics. It's bigger than any partisan divide. This is really about us protecting our pursuit of democracy. And we're inspiring new voices to get involved, to be organizers, to engage in ways that will not just win one race, but win our future and build infrastructure. And so this is about investing in the ways that we've seen in Georgia and in other communities that have been counted out. And we're going to prove the doubters wrong and win this.
We're going to start by taking a look at your ad, which has gotten a ton of attention, and we'd love to hear your take on what you're trying to accomplish and how the reaction has been.
The pain of our past persists to this day. In Kentucky, like many states throughout the South, lynching was a tool of terror. It was used to kill hopes for freedom. It was used to kill my ancestors. Now, in a historic victory for our Commonwealth, I have become the first Black Kentuckian to receive the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. My opponent, the very person who compared expanded health care to slavery. The person who said he would have opposed the Civil Rights Act. The person who single-handedly blocked an anti-lynching act from being federal law. The choice couldn't be clearer. Do we move forward together, or do we let politicians like Rand Paul forever hold us back and drive us apart? In November, we will choose healing. We will choose Kentucky.
This is obviously an ad that has grabbed the nation's attention. It contains incredibly stark, powerful imagery, very unusual, obviously, for a political campaign. What were you trying to accomplish with this ad, and how have people reacted to it?
I come from a long line of ministers. Both my parents are preachers, so I know how important it is to tell a story. That is one of the hardest things I've ever done. But the response has been really humbling. You know, part of our work, not in just winning races, but winning our future, is about addressing the structural challenges that we ignore. And Rand Paul and people like him have built careers out of weaponizing hate, stoking racial divides, and I know that I'm the first Black Kentuckian to ever be a major party nominee for U.S. Senate. I know that some of my ancestors were enslaved and lynched in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but I also know that we can win our healing together. And that is the message that we were trying to lift up in a way that forces people to see how hard this work is and what this means, the consequences of inaction, the consequences of injustice, the consequences of a Rand Paul being in office. I go to every community, and when I have people that have told me, look, I voted for Trump, I've been a lifelong Republican, thank you for this ad. No one ever wants to talk about these types of things. Thank you for standing up. It gives me hope. We're speaking to people in ways that they haven't really been spoken to, and it's powerful.
What I took from that ad was obviously a very frank reckoning with Kentucky and this nation's path, but actually, and this is something that's relatively unusual in the 2022 ads we've been looking at, but is a hopeful path forward to try to sell a largely Republican state on the idea that there is a better, more hopeful, more tolerant future. And one way to help achieve that is to elect you and send a message to the nation that maybe Kentucky isn't what a lot of people think it is and what Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell make a lot of people believe it is. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We are stereotyped. We have been disrespected. We've been mocked and demeaned, and it's largely because of Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul. And I see the power in what we're doing here. The reason people that have never voted before are now organizing with us is because we are lifting up their voices. And the most powerful part about that video was when I took the rope off. And as divided as we are as a country, as a nation, and even globally, we have to be able to see humanity because we are in this together. And I'm honored that we're going to win this race, but I'm excited about us winning our future.
Really glad that we can talk about this ad that has been so in demand from our viewers. The next ad we're going to watch is sort of the, I think, bizarro evil version of your ads from Jerome Davison, a Republican running for Congress in Arizona.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds.
This is another ad that a lot of our viewers wanted us to take a look at and examine because of, well, it's kind of obvious, I guess, why. But I wanted to see your reaction to it, and specifically maybe hone in on how in a state like Kentucky you feel like you can talk about guns.
The issue of guns has been taken to an extreme that is jeopardizing all of us, Republicans, Democrats, independents alike. This isn't just me saying we don't want weapons of war in our communities and in our schools. These are folks in rural communities. These are hardcore Republicans. Why are we okay with our schools being shot up? Okay, now let me pivot to this video, and I'm gonna be.
I want to hear what you have to say about this. Yes.
Good Lord. All right. So first of all, this is a heavy issue. It's easy to mock this guy and this brother. I know he's a minister apparently, but let me just speak to the problem in this ad. Structural racism is not partisan. To even frame it as if it is a Democrat or Republican thing is to diminish and minimize the work we have to do together in this country. And as a black man, who exactly is he trying to convince? This is, to me, the worst form of trying to play some sort of identity politics at your own expense, because we know that in a lot of communities, the way that story plays out, and if you even look at the history, come on now, we understand the evolution of party politics. We know who are carrying the tiki torches out here. But this is the worst form of not just misinformation, but exploitation. He should be ashamed of himself, but I doubt he understands enough to know he should be ashamed. And look, I'm praying for our country because there's an effort to take history out of our schools, the whole push about critical race theory, all these efforts to make sure that we don't know where we came from. And this is a product of that. It's unfortunate that that's what we have to face in our society, those types of misinformation, lies, and deceit. But it is what we face, and we'll get through it together by shining the light of the truth. But that's a shame.
What they're trying to do is basically troll as hard as possible in order to get a reaction from the left, from the media, to try to then use that reaction as proof of their conservative bona fides, right? And maybe we are doing exactly what he wants by analyzing on the show, but I think Democrats have to understand the strategy behind these so we don't just laugh at them, because this idea that history stopped in the 60s with Dixiecrats and nothing has happened since then. You guys been in a coma for 60 years. What has happened since then? But then that gets the reaction. The goal is virality. The goal is liberal anger, but you are correct that it says something very disturbing about one of the two political parties in our country, that is probably a viable political strategy. All right, people, I fully understand that the internet economy is largely transactional. I scratch your back, you scratch my back, yada, yada, you get it. So you all told me you wanted Jerome Davison's ad, so we did it. You wanted Charles Booker's ad? We didn't just do Charles Booker's ad, we brought Charles Booker himself on the show. That's the quid. Here's the quote. I need you all to smash the subscribe button. Elijah and Ben are on my ass about getting our subscriber numbers up. So please do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. The last ad we're going to watch is from the Lincoln Project.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
He lost and he knew it. Everyone around him lied to you, but told him the truth.
He delivered to the president pretty blunt terms. He was going to lose.
I did not see evidence of fraud.
I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying.
And, unfortunately, our guys walked into the trap.
Why? To rip off his own voters, to steal $250 million from the suckers on his email list. And it worked.
Look into this so we get to the bottom of it. Let's have trial by combat.
The biggest con game in political history. And MAGA voters were the suckers who bought it. It says a lot about them and everything about him.
We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about.
What do you think about this ad? Do you think it's effective?
Honestly, as a creative, I'm asking this with every piece of content, every video. Who's the audience here? I'm not really clear who the audience is. I noticed the use of the term suckers and sort of framing those who have been in support or even been co-opted by all of this in an insulting way. So to me, it's essentially saying that we don't want to bring you in, which is very counter to how I'm building this coalition. I'm not looking to drive people into their corners because we have to find ways to come together. And I know that there were a lot of people in the crowd on January 6th that were honestly co-opted. And a lot of those folks who were like, we're doing this because the president told us to do it. People are looking for leadership, and their leaders are saying, go overturn democracy. The history books will write so much about this. Rand Paul was one of the chief people stoking the big lie and then trying to hide his hand in the end as everything was getting burnt up. And we can't afford it anymore.
You know, this ad seemed in between two strategies. In the beginning, I think very smart, something that I thought the January 6th committee has done very well, is use Republican voices to tell a story to potentially persuadable Republicans. Footage of Bill Barr and Jason Miller. These are people whose faces and voices and names are recognizable to Trump supporters. But then they lose me when they call them suckers. So either you're trying to rile up and motivate liberals, or you are trying to persuade reasonable Republicans who have skepticism about Trump and what he did, but you can't do both in the same ad. And as a general rule, I think it's a huge mistake that our side makes, and I include the Lincoln Project in this, which is to show our anger at the people who believe the lies as much as our anger should be at the people who told the lies. That does not to excuse any violence that anyone did. These are grown adults who are culpable for what they did. But around the country, if you were someone who supported Trump, believed Trump, gave him money, he tried to play you as a sucker, but calling them a sucker just seems like really bad politics, right? So that's my take on that, Ed.
You don't insult folks that you want to ultimately work with. And Donald Trump and everyone around him needs to be held accountable. And anyone who disagrees with that, that's okay. But Donald Trump and everyone around him needs to be held accountable.
Charles Booker, thank you so much for joining us. This is a huge honor and pleasure for me, and good luck out there on the campaign trail.
Thank you, brother. True pleasure.
Thanks for watching these ads and videos with us. If you have anything you'd like us to break down next time, please let us know in the comments. See y'all later.